Welcome back to Triple Down Gaming, everyone. Tonight we're just doing a basic entertainment simulation series of one of the strategies that I typically will use when I'm going to the casino playing a game of craps. Typically I'll buy in for $200. You'll see the spread. We got 150 in our 25s, 50 in our 5s here. This is a $10 minimum table for my local casino here in North Chicago. It's a $10 minimum during the day. If you go during a peak time, no Friday, Saturday night, table minimum will be $15. So with this strategy, you'll see typically my goal is anywhere from 25 to 75% of my original buy-in. Once I'm up by that, again, buying in for $200. Once I'm up anywhere between that $50 to $100 range, typically I'm going to be walking. In my opinion, if you have the mindset of going in there and wanting to double, triple, or even quadruple your money, typically that's not going to happen in my opinion, and you're going to end up walking out with even less than what you started with. So without further ado, here we go. We're going to take a couple of dice here. And we will throw our $10 in the pass line since we will be the shooter. And we will go for our first roll. So one of the key things that I will typically do with this strategy is I will typically cash two of my 5s there for sets of singles. Typically I will use these for buying the 4 and 10 or placing hedges on my pass line. So in this case, typically I'll put a $2 C&E there, essentially covering myself. If I hit a 2 or 3 12 there on the first roll, I'm covering my pass line loss. Again, typically I won't do that every time, but on these first sets of rolls here, when I'm just buying into the table, I will. So without further ado, we're going to go through here and go through a couple rolls and see how that works out. 6 easy. So in this case, we will lose our C&E there. So basics of the strategy is we essentially load the numbers up. Load the numbers up, and the key to the strategy being turning the numbers off before that 7 hits and avoiding the wipeout. Obviously, once you have every number out here covered, you got a good chunk of change out there, especially in terms of your buy-in with a $10 minimum. So, typically what I'll do is we'll do 10 on every single number, 12 on the 8, $1 for change there, $5 actually I should say for change, and we're covering essentially every number. I won't put it on the 6 because we got the pass line for our 6 there. So we will go for our first roll here, see what happens. And 6, we hit the point right away, so can't complain there. And that will pay our pass line 1 to 1. And we will go for our next roll. 9. In this case, when the dealer asks, we will put our 9 over to our 6, throw a couple of extra dollars out there to make it 12. And 9 is our point. And we'll go for our next roll. 5. 5 will pay us 14. So in the beginning of the game like this, typically I will only leave my bets out there for 1 or 2 rolls before I turn them off again. And the key being the only way turning them off will be a losing situation is if he hits another one of these numbers another 4 times after we turn them off, would it be a losing situation. Otherwise, yeah, if he hits it 1, 2, or 3 more times afterwards, Yep, that could be all good, but if he hits a 7 on that fourth one and wipes everything out, those 3 wins are not covering everything that we lost. So, typically, in this case, we'll leave it out there for one more roll. See what happens. And we hit a 7. So, unfortunately, we did get wiped here on this roll. So in this case, typically we'll put another 10 out there on our pass line and go for our next roll here. 8. 8 is the point, so we will keep going. Again, we will throw another 50 and this out there again for ease. Show the spread of both there. $12 on our 6. And we'll go for another roll here. 10. 9 to 10, they'll be paying us 18 here. So typically, like I said, after those 1 or 2 rolls, since we did lose on that second roll, we're a little bit more cautious here. So in this case, once the dealer pays me, I'm going to turn all my bets off. So all these are off except our pass line. And we get an 8. 8 hit the point right away. So in this case, we hit our point and we hit one of the numbers. So overall, $28 right there. We will go for another come out roll here. Yo 11. Typically the other thing that is good to keep track of is having a system of 1, knowing how much bets you have out there, and 2, having a system of tracking how many chips you have in your rail. And what I mean by that is typically if we simulate this as a rail in the game of craps, again, this is just an acrylic chip tray. Typically what I mean by that is this is more so bankroll management, but having an easy way to count your chips. So if you got sets of 25 and your 5s here, you got a lot of them, put a single in the middle. So you know that, okay, this is a set of 25, this is a set of 25. Again, that's more so for bankroll management, but again, it helps with keeping track of where you are at in the game in terms of your bankroll, so that when you do reach your goal of 25 to 75%, you know when to walk away and you're not having to spend time counting and potentially risking bets that aren't necessary, I'll say. So, again, in that case, typically what I'll do, again, just for simulation series here, we'll leave these in stacks of 25, and we'll leave our stacks of 1s here, there as well. So, we will go for our set of rolls here. Hit a yo 11 there. And we got a 7-7 frontline winner. We'll take the 7 there, not anywhere else. We will go again. Yo! Hit another yo! We'll restack our 5s here. Go for another roll here. 8. 8 easy is the point again. So in this case, I'll tell the dealer, turn my bets working, turn them on. We will go for another roll here. 10. Be another 18 coming our way here. So again, keeping track of everything, once a point is rolled, typically you want to know and really be keeping track of it. So we got $52 out here, 62 with our pass line. So again, we know 52 can be taken down at any time. Here we got 75 for 150, 160, 170, 172. So again, we know we're reaching that 25% range again, depending on your risk tolerance. Once you hit that 25%, by all means, win is a win. Get up and take it. If you're there, say a little bit more risk tolerant with your bankroll, by all means, you can shoot for that 50 to 75% range. For this simulation, typically I'll shoot for that 50% in the middle there. So without further ado, we'll keep it out here for one more roll here and see what happens. And we get an 8. Hit the point again. And we typically I'm going to keep going here. So one of the other things I'll typically do at some point in time is, if we're up a decent amount and we have the bankroll intolerance for it, we will increase these. So, we'll go through one more roll to kind of simulate that. 6 easy. In this case, 6 will just push our bets over to the 8. In this case, if wanted or prefer, what I'll typically do is I will pull all my bets down. And what I will do is have the dealer push my bets up to 25 on each. So, we'll push 25 on the 6, 25 on the 5, or it's not 25 on the 6, 30 on the 6, and we will buy the 4 and 10. Again, here at my local casino in North Chicago, we are charged the VIG up front. I know that's not always preferred, but that's what they do. So this will essentially pay us 35 on each of these. Buying the 4 and 10 will pay us 49. Again, what they do is they will typically charge the VIG on the back end, and then once you pull it, they will return the VIG. I know it's really confusing if you're not paying attention to it. So we do have our point of 6. We will leave these out there for exactly about one roll here. See what happens. And we hit the 6. 6 right away. So in that case, we're back starting another roll here. Here we go. 2 crap 2. Pass line loser. Throw another 2 out there. Another 10. Three crap 3. Unfortunately, this does happen, everyone. You get two 2 craps right in a row. Seven frontline winner, winning it right back. Yo 11. So overall, pretty much net here. After those 2 2s and 3s there hitting us. And we hit the 5. So in this case, you know, we'll push it over to the 6. We'll throw another 5 out there. Pushing our 6 up to 30 there. And then we will go for 1 roll here. And we hit the 10. So the unique thing, like I was mentioning at my local casino here in North Chicago, specifically in Waukegan, I'll say, they will pay me exactly 49, which is minus the VIG, 5% there. So again, you got your 25, your 45 there, and your 4 there to make 49. And they will treat this as keeping it out there, in which case the VIG is already paid for that bet. So in this case, you know, typically what I will do is I will typically turn all my bets off, since we do have a lot out there, and we will just let the shooter keep rolling. Yo 11 field pays. Ten again. As I mentioned to everyone, if he hits another 4 numbers past our turning off point, it's a loss decision, but we'll see what happens. 6. 6 easy. 4. 4 again. So in this case, you know, turning them off was a bad decision, but you know what? You never know, as I'll say. So we will keep rolling here. And 7. 7 hits right there. So yeah, in this case, you know what? Even if we did keep everything out there, we would have made it all back. But you know what? I always like to say, you know, once it's turned off and you got a win in there, you're kind of securing yourself, as I'll say. So the only thing we lose is our $10 pass line there. And in this case, you know what? I know where we are at in terms of our bankroll. Typically, I'll have the dealer pull everything down. So as mentioning, the unique thing that my casino does here with my buy bets is, since we didn't lose it, they charged us the VIG. The VIG is paid back here since we didn't lose the buy bets. So we will keep all of that, and we will essentially count out again, knowing where our bankroll is. So in this case, you know, we got 100 here, 200 here. So this is, again, our original buy-in. And this is all our winnings. So, you know, we got, showing the spread there, 25 on our 5s, 25, 50, 75, 80, 85, 90, $93. So in this case, you know, we made right in within our 25 to 75% range, you know, just about under that 50%. In my case of typical what I'm shooting for, once I reach this point, I'm coloring up and I'm walking away. So again, it's a very quick strategy, I'll say. Typically the only way you're going to lose is, if that 7 comes within those first 2 rolls after the point and you get wiped. Now, obviously, in my opinion, the odds of, and superstition odds, I'll say, of that happening several times in a row, and after you're starting with 52 or 54, or even eventually hitting up to 135 across, it's pretty low. Again, that has to happen probably 2 or 3 times for you to get totally wiped. So in this case, it's a very quick game, making sure you know what your bankroll is. And again, with this setup, I will say, I'm practicing this just about every single night. I know what exactly my payouts are going to be ahead of time, so it's easier to keep track of your bankroll. So that is a quick strategy simulation for entertainment purposes here. This is typically what I like to call my loaded numbers strategy. One, because we load the numbers up, and 2, we try to avoid the wipeout. So without further ado, that'll be it. And quick $93 won there for this simulation. By all means, make sure to hit that subscribe and like button, everyone. If you have any strategies that you would like us to test out, or have any other comments to make of, hedge bets to make within the strategy, by all means, put them in the comments, and we will see you on the next one.